G'day Jasmine and Ian. Hello from Australia, the land of flies, crocodiles and the world's best cricketers. The world's best rugby league players too. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Ric Frawley. I'm from Queensland in Australia, and I was a good mate of your dad's, Jasmine. Ian had a wonderful idea for me to provide a video for your wedding, given that your dad, Roy Kite Powell, was not only my good mate, but also the best bloody soldier I ever served with. So for the next couple of minutes, with your indulgence, I shall try and speak on behalf of Roy. Your dad and I, Jasmine, began our friendship in mid-1970. I'd been up-squatted, as they say, into the training platoon at Infantry Centre at Ingleburn in New South Wales, and I marched in there on about the second or third week. I joined them in the field, and our friendship started from there. Roy had joined the ARA in the UK at Australia House in London, and because of his experience was sent to Infantry Training Centre without need to complete basic training. He was able to teach the instructors, truth be known. When we went in the field, we lived in old WW2 style buildings. Each building had a small room each side of the entrance known as jack rooms, so called because the occupants had privacy and a better quality. And it was a case of stuff you, I'm all right, Jack. Roy had one of these rooms because of his experience and seniority. He had been, after all, a colour sergeant in the Green Howards. When we weren't training on weekends, we played. King's Cross was often the venue and Sleaze was on the menu. We always went to the city together, stayed together and went home together. Each one of us was okay sober if push came to shove, but with a few or a lot of drinks, it became a case of safety in numbers. You may have heard about King's Cross in the 60s and 70s. We'd go to town, do a bit of a club crawl, maybe get a tattoo, look at some girls who were really blokes, and go home. To the barracks, just us. We used to train, and it was a fairly long journey out to Ingleburn from King's Cross. Inevitably, we got hungry on the way home. I recall one night we'd been to the cross, and we arrived back at the centre in a very hungry state. There were about 4 of us, possibly more. Kite, Clarky, Jerry and myself. We did a recce on the sergeant's mess, and through the windows could see quite a spread laid out inside. The lights were on inside, and there must have either just been a function or one was planned for the following morning. We checked the doors and windows, and I finally gave it in and went to bed because I was tired. I was quickly back to sleep, and sometime later I was awoken by someone forcing my jaws apart and shoving sandwiches down my throat. It was Kite. He said, "Wake up, Frawley, we've got food." So I ate my fill after almost choking and went back to sleep. Next morning, which was a Saturday, the Provo investigators turned up to question us about the alleged break and enter. We said nothing, gave them nothing, and eventually they left. After they'd gone, Kite came out of his room and said, "Guess what? They never searched my room." In his rubbish bin was the remains of a cooked chicken that he'd eaten. I had cause to remember this many years later when I became a military police investigator. After we finished the infantry school course, we were dispatched in various directions. Most were posted to infantry battalions within the Royal Australian Regiment. Kite, myself and a few of the blokes, Jerry Dykey, Frank Turnbull, were posted a couple of 100 metres away to reinforcement wing at the centre. We had become RIOs, reinforcements for the battalion serving in South Vietnam. Reinforcements to replace those killed, wounded and sent home for other reasons. We lived in large tents, and it must have been to familiarise us with canvas, because that's what we ended up living in for short spaces of time in South Vietnam. We continued to play in King's Cross. Probably because we were awaiting embarkation orders, we played a bit harder. I'd applied to join the SAS regiment. I'd undergone psych testing and passed. Kite advised me I'd better get super fit, as it'd be very hard otherwise. Kite became my trainer. He pushed me beyond my own limits and I became as fit as I have ever been in my life. On the eve of my departure to the SS regiment, I received a message that I was not to go based on medical advice. It was medical advice that was incorrect, but there was no redress. So Kite and I and a few others waited a week or three and ended up in South Vietnam. We went to the 1st Australian Reinforcement Unit at Nui Dat. Our old platoon sergeant from Ingleburn welcomed us and tried to have us both promoted to corporal. Roy was successful with that promotion and stayed there for a while longer. I was almost immediately posted out to the 7th Battalion. I eventually served in 4 different battalions in Vietnam. Roy was posted to B&E platoon at Bung Tau, and I met up with him again while I was there, seconded to the Provost unit, working as a liaison between the last company of fighting troops left in country and the Provost. If one of our company blokes got into trouble in town during these last months, I was there to help get them out. I'd been out late one night and stayed in town to avoid breaking curfew. Next morning, pretty early, my companion and I took a Lambro cab to within 150 metres of the main gate and got out there. The mate asked me what we should do and I said, well, we might as well just wing it. We'll jog in wearing civvies and see what happens. So we did this, and as we approached the boom gates, Kite walked out, saw me and said, "Morning, Rick." I said, "Morning, Kite." He opened the boom gate, we jogged through and we made a mad dash over the sand dunes, came in the back entrance to the quarters, got changed and raced outside to make first parade. I spoke to Kite later about his plans to return to Belize. The authorities required him to buy a return ticket to ensure he wouldn't go AWOL. As if. Kite asked me if I was interested in going with him, and to be honest I was, but I knew I would be kissing goodbye to many things and I declined. Kite was a major player in my army development. He was also a wonderful friend, a very funny bloke, and a friend to be relied on through thick and thin. I've missed him over the years and I shall always miss him and his unique personality. He remains the best soldier I've ever known. So Jasmine, please don't be sad of what I've said. I've just wanted to get your dad into the picture in the only way I know. Your dad is undoubtedly so proud of you and what you have achieved. He may not be there with you today in a physical sense, but he is most certainly there with you and Ian in every other sense. May I wish you and Ian all the very best thoughts for the future. I know that Ian and you are an outstanding couple and that no matter what, you will both be successful at everything you do. Love, happiness, business and life. My very best wishes to you both.